Welcome to Delay the Decay, the podcast for unashamedly ambitious people who want to live longer, lead better, and love deeper, prioritizing what matters most. I'm your host, Dan Harty, coach, entrepreneur, and former pastor, here to help you build a life of more intentional direction, not perfection, across 5 life domains: spiritual, relational, physical, mental, and financial. Welcome to the Delay to Decay podcast. My guest today is Jess Greene. Jess is an ultra runner, coach, and adventure lover based in Fort Collins, Colorado, where you'll usually find her running trails, strength training, reading, or chasing her 3 kids around. After earning an undergrad degree from Caltech and a master's in molecular biology from the University of Colorado in Boulder, Jess spent years as a lab rat before discovering running at age 35 at the end of a 100-pound weight loss journey. What started as a couple of slow miles turned into marathons, a 100-mile run around her neighborhood, and in 2020, her first finish at the legendary Moab 240, an event she's completed every year since. Jess has now completed the 200-mile distance 8 times. She serves on headquarter crews as a volunteer and recently crossed into new territory with her first 300-mile finish. She's passionate about healing, community, and helping everyday runners believe that they're capable of far more adventure than they think. This raises so many questions, and I'm so excited. Jess, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you. This is going to be a blast. What's one habit or discipline that you've incorporated into your life recently to help you move in the right direction?
Yeah. So I thought about this. I don't have any new habits, but there's a habit that I found during my 100-pound weight loss that recently I've been putting renewed energy into. So it almost feels like a new habit or reestablishing a habit. And that's meal planning, which probably sounds so boring and so simple. Meal planning and meal prep. So having one day where I just make a bunch of food for the week, and then I have that ready. And, it goes into even like getting my kids' lunches ready, like just getting nutritious food ready for the family as much as I can, committing a time to that to set ahead for each week. It just changes the whole week for me. I don't know. It's
I
huge.
love it.
Yep.
I don't think that's boring, and I think
Okay.
that a lot of us aspire to that, but we don't do it. Maybe because we don't know where to start.
Yeah.
What's like one meal prep hack or tip that you might give to somebody that goes, "That sounds good. I'm not sure where to start though."
Yeah. Like I said, that is really when I lost my 100 pounds, it really was simple meal planning and then just moving more. That was it. Like nothing else, no other interventions. It was very simple. When I look back on that time, I'm like, wow, like you would think that would have been very hard, but actually it simplified my life so much, just these small changes.
Hmm.
So, one thing I guess, and this would vary person to person, is if you're willing to eat the same thing on repeat. Like I'll make like a big pot of lentil soup and I'll eat that for lunch like 4 days in a
Hmm.
row. And some people can tolerate that. Some people maybe need more variety, but I realize for me, simplicity is key. I'm going to make a couple dinners. I'm going to eat them a couple times. I might eat the same lunch all week. I might eat the same breakfast all week. I just make it once and then just have it every day. I don't have to think about it. It's ready. Saves me time. Yeah.
We're going to get to your crazy schedule and
Yeah.
the amount of time you run, but how do you feel your body? Do you find that in this journey you need more protein, more carbs? What's that look like?
So that's been a journey. I mean, my 100-pound weight loss and finding running truly has been a story of healing my relationship with my body, healing my relationship with food, no longer dieting, no longer trying to be smaller, really fueling for performance, feeling that I want to be able to go on my long runs and feel good. I want to be able to strength train at the gym and lift a heavier weight. That is my goal. I want to strength train and run my whole life. hopefully up till my last days if I can. So longevity being a goal. And I feel like when the goal shifts in that direction, fuel and food is so important. You just realize you can't move without food. Um, so I think for me, one of the biggest things is just making sure I get enough because I know I'm not going to be able to run, I'm not going to be able to strength train if I'm not fueled properly. And I think that's why the meal prep helps because I think ahead of things that I know make me feel good. And it's there, it's ready. I'm not just grabbing things or skipping meals because I don't have fuel ready. But as far as diet, so I tend a little more on the plant-based side, which I know is like not popular right now or anything like that. That's just how I personally feel good is eating tons of fruits, tons of veggies. I eat lots of carbs. Um, I did just come out of a strength training phase in the winter and I was eating really high protein. That is actually hard for me. But I did it and it helped me build muscle. So I totally see the benefits of eating that way. But when I'm just kind of living and fueling my runs, I eat pretty plant-based and pretty just whole foods, just avoiding processed stuff mostly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Outside of running, and we're going to talk a lot about your journey running, what do people not know about you that you want people to know about Jess Greene?
Well, people close to me would know this, but I think in general, people maybe don't realize how scared and anxious I am to do basically everything that I do. I think a lot of people maybe think because I'm out in the wilderness doing these adventures, doing these long distances, maybe that I'm brave or maybe that um, I'm like competitive or something, but it's like that's really not me. I'm a very scared, very anxious person that does all
Hmm.
of these things kind of with hands shaking. That's why I always say I'm like, I'm gonna show up with my hands shaking. I do these things with my hands shaking. I'm scared. Um, I have anxiety, I have OCD. So I struggle mentally a lot with all the things that I do. And I think it's kind of invisible probably to most people.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it
Mhm.
certainly is. You carry yourself with such confidence. What compels you to just to keep showing up with the anxiety, the
Yeah.
OCD? I guess you're more on the introvert side. What keeps you showing up for your family? Working out every day in a
Yeah.
gym, no the less. You're not working out by yourself
Right.
necessarily. What
Yeah.
keeps you showing up?
I think it's that I've seen what happens when my anxiety is in the driver's seat of my life and my life becomes very small. I can't leave the house. I'm
Mm,
just washing my hands. I'm afraid of everything. I'm afraid of germs. I'm afraid of connecting with people. I'm held back from living a full life when fear is in the driver's seat. So I think I realized I have to every day push past that and get out there because the
mhm.
experiences are just so enriching that I can't miss out on that.
Yeah, I love it. We train our bodies to be stronger and healthier, and to hopefully increase longevity. What are some of the ways that you train your mind to try to push out the lies and believe the truths of who
Yeah.
you really are?
Well, and it's a direct impact too, because I have now learned when I go to the gym, when I run, my mental health, it's actually managing my mental health.
Hmm.
So it's just so healing. I don't know if it's the endorphins. I don't know exactly the biology behind it. Like you mentioned, my background is in biology, so I'm always trying to figure out the science behind everything.
Hmm.
Um, but I do know that many people experience it, that exercise, connection, it's more healing than even medicine could be, or as healing as therapy could be. So I think I've just experienced enough to where I'm like, okay, even when my fear is telling me, no, I'm scared, I don't want to, I know I have to, I know I'm going to feel better after. And
Hmm.
this is actually part of me managing my mental health.
Yeah, and there really is science out there that shows that when we move and our body produces endorphins and all that, it really does help our
Yep.
mental health, doesn't it?
Yep. And I think for me, if you're someone who's anxious, you're someone who has OCD, you're in your mind so much, just ruminating, thinking, worrying. When you're at the gym running, when you're working out, you are in your body. You are
Mm,
moving, you're out of your mind, your experience is out of your mind. I think it's good. It's a break from just sitting and
mhm.
catastrophizing and worrying. And instead you're moving, it feels like thoughts and feelings just kind of move through you. You're processing things. And after, I just feel calm and just ready to handle things now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question:
Yeah.
what is OCD?
Yeah.
Like, and how does it manifest itself?
Yeah. So obsessive compulsive disorder,
Hmm.
it's, I think, very misunderstood. A lot of people think OCD is someone who just like wants things a certain way, like they want their jars all lined up or their clothes lined up, and that can be part of it. I've actually learned a lot more about OCD. I didn't know much about it either, before being diagnosed. So there's actually also different types of OCD. It can look a lot of different ways that you might not expect. But for someone like me who has like the germ, kind of the classic OCD, it manifests as intrusive thoughts, fears, worries, wondering if you're going to get sick if you've been exposed to germs somewhere, or just it's very debilitating, kind of constant intrusive thoughts,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if somebody is struggling with that, is the first thing to do to see a doctor, see a counselor,
Yeah.
change your diet, start running ultra marathons? What do you
Yeah. I would recommend absolutely, well, first getting the diagnosis.
Mhm.
I always thought that was just me. That's just my personality. I'm a worrier. It's like, oh, I actually didn't realize there's something maybe bigger going on
Mhm.
here. It's not normal to worry this much. So, getting a diagnosis and then finding a therapist that you connect with
Mhm.
was life changing for me,
Mhm.
but also realizing that this is a very hard disorder to treat, and it's probably going to have to be holistic.
Mhm.
And therapy can help hugely, but you also are going to have to do potentially a lot of lifestyle changes to
Yeah.
support your mental health.
Uh, have you ever had a genetics test done on yourself?
Well, the only test I had was they said they could like check my predisposition for a bunch of genetic diseases, and I had that, but I've never had like the 23andMe or anything like that. No.
Yeah. I'm fascinated. I'm on a journey right now. I've connected with a couple of genetics companies that they claim to be able, not they claim, I think it's science that they can actually tell you, based on your DNA, what your DNA blueprint is, and what you are predisposed to, which could actually be cause stress.
Yeah, I'm like, oh
But
man, I don't know if I can
I
do
know,
that.
but it also, like, a guy I was talking to, a guest of mine, Daniel Guzman, who works for a genetics company. He he eats healthy, he exercises and all that, and like we know that avocados, for example, are a good fat, but for him, it also they're also high in histamine, and for him, histamine is bad for him in some way. I'm not sure what it causes, but it was his DNA blueprint that showed him like that he is sensitive to like histamines. So
Okay.
it was just helpful. And then like blood panels have that, yeah.
I
So
get lots of blood work. I think all ultra runners or anyone really fit, I go to my doctor twice a year. We just look at
okay.
everything to make sure, everything's where it should be.
And have you kind of gone still on the conventional medicine route? I know that you've got a history there and family in that,
I
and,
do,
and or
yeah.
have you explored any of the functional medicine?
It's interesting. I like both. I really
Mm,
do. I have that science side of my brain. Like you said, my family is a lot of doctors, nurses. I've had serious medical conditions, like broken my leg. I had blood clots during a pregnancy. I've
mm,
had times where medical intervention absolutely saved my life, and I am
amen.
so grateful to have access for
Mm,
that.
mm,
But I've also experienced, a lot of what you're talking about. Like for example, for me, it's dairy. I kind of had to
mm,
figure it out on myself. It is not good for my body. It's just,
mhm.
I can't digest it. It doesn't I don't feel good eating it. So I kind of figured out, oh, if I eliminate this, I'm not as inflamed. I feel much better. And so I do think there's a lot to that side of medicine too, of
Hmm.
getting at the root of things, you know, maybe not treating acute, huge problems, but just um, getting very in tune with your body and trying to eat and live in the way that works best for you, and
Hmm.
staying ahead of any illness
Hmm.
or injuries and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love your attitude there, because oftentimes we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, where we lean one way or the other rather than just being open
Yep.
uh, to both, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, at age 35, you were coming out of pregnancy. You describe yourself as being 100 pounds overweight. What was really happening in your life, and what did running unlock for you?
Yeah. Oh man, when I look back on that time, I had, you know, three kids pretty close, like all within 4 years. And then, like I said, my third pregnancy, I had blood clots. I almost died. We almost lost the baby. You know, it was just a lot of health struggles. And then my husband's job moved us across the country to Washington from Colorado. So I was completely removed from my whole support system, from my family, trying to build a life in a new state where I didn't know anybody. Then I broke my leg. It was kind of
Mm,
this series of just sort of reaching what you could call kind of a rock bottom, as far as just going into survival mode versus really thriving with life. It was like all the time and energy I had, I was just pouring into taking care of my kids, supporting my husband, trying to build this new life. And I didn't feel like I had much support around me. And I just felt like I was very dissociated from my own self care, my own health. I just had sort of lost track of all of that. I wasn't feeling very energized. I wasn't feeling good in my body. And then when I broke my leg, I lost my mobility for months. So I just, when my leg was broken, I do remember laying in bed and being like, when I can use my legs, I want to, because I've had this taken away.
mm,
And so I think I was just sort of primed for like a big change with that
hmm.
backdrop. Yeah.
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 Well, I should say you made a big change. How did you go from broken leg,
Yeah.
saying, I'm going to use this leg, to not just walking, but deciding to start running, and running a lot?
Yeah, so I actually didn't even start off as a runner. I started off going to group fitness classes in my
Okay.
neighborhood. It was an amazing group
Mm,
that worked out outside. It was mostly women. It was like a boot camp type of class. And I went because it was part of my PT, like trying to get mobility back in my
mm,
ankle. Because they basically told me, if you don't rehab this, they actually told me, you will never be able to run. We want you to be able to walk normally.
mm,
And I was like, wow, okay. I wasn't a runner. I had never run. Shouldn't have bothered me that I couldn't run.
mm,
But something about them saying that made me be like, well, maybe I'll be able to get to running, even though they said I won't be able to.
mm,
So I started off with group fitness for about a whole year before I really started running. I think that was very important, very foundational. I actually built some core strength. I actually, for the first time in my life, like built some muscle while losing weight, while learning how to meal prep, how to eat in a really nutritious way. And so after a year of that is when I started running, and I think I had um, enough fitness that I could run, and it didn't feel impossible, and it
mm,
it actually was enjoyable, probably for the first time in my life, to run. And I started very small, but I think the thing that was really powerful with the running versus the group fitness was that I was doing it alone.
mm.
Because even the group fitness, we brought our kids. So I
Okay.
was doing workouts with my three kids, you know, right there, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have anything in my life that I just did by myself, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for myself, with a quiet mind. And that's what running was. And it was amazing how it escalated really quickly from like, I can't run a mile to like, I want to run 200 miles. It was like within a year.
Really?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Let me go back just a minute. You had a molecular biology degree or master's?
Master's degree. Yeah, I was in a
Master's.
PhD program. I was in the PhD program, and during the program, I realized I don't want to spend my life in a lab all day. The lifestyle I couldn't do, but I did complete the master's and then I wanted to go into teaching. So I switched into
Okay.
that. Yeah.
What did that season uh, teach you about grit and perseverance?
Yeah.
That had to be hard. I know you are like a off the charts brilliant person, but even for brilliance, molecular biology masters is not easy.
Well, I think, and this is what's interesting about endurance sports. My running coach, who, if you go to my social media, you'll see me with him a lot. We run together a lot. He's the person who kind of pulled me into ultra running and supported me. But anyway, he always said, you actually already had the endurance. You
Mm.
just had to learn to run a little bit. And then you applied it. And so I think that's what I've seen it myself in endurance sports, where people have these backgrounds of learning grit, learning perseverance in completely different domains. It applies. All those lessons apply. You just have to learn
Interesting.
how to run a little bit, and then
That's
you already
good.
have the endurance.
I don't want to move past that because that is a nugget that we can all take away. whether whether it's a mom that has persevered and had grit through the raising of three kids, and now the kids are out of the house. Mom hasn't really done anything for herself or worked out. She's now in her mid late 40s type of thing. For maybe the man who's in that same boat, but like you've had grit and performance in different seasons of life that can carry over.
Yeah, you
That
don't know
is,
it. You're a secret endurance athlete. It just has to be unlocked a little bit. It's already within you.
yeah,
And I think that was my experience. That's why people are like, how did you go from here to here so fast? It's like, I actually didn't. I had all of this life experience, managing my OCD, going into a PhD program. My undergraduate was extremely intense at Caltech. Being a mom, sleepless nights. Moms do amazing at endurance events because they're okay without sleep, a lot of them. It's like all of this endurance training that you wouldn't even think is endurance training, you bring with you. And then the physical, the running is actually a pretty small part of the training. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
How do you speak to the ladies in the audience right now? Because I don't fully understand this. I think guys have a little bit of what I'm going to describe, but it's that a wrong relationship with their body, where oftentimes the why or the motivation for exercise or running is to look a certain way, to be a certain size, and what what might be wrong with that mindset? How might it be dangerous? And then how do you overcome that?
So my experience, I'm no expert. First of all, I just have huge empathy for all women, men, anyone who's struggled with body image, body acceptance. I have hugely struggled with that in my life in both directions. I've been morbidly obese. When I was very young, like in my 20s, had an eating disorder. So, like I said, I have struggled with my relationship with food and how to take care of my body well with food. So, I had done a lot of dieting before finally losing 100 pounds. The interesting thing was when I lost 100 pounds, that was not my goal. I wasn't setting out to even lose 100 pounds when I started that journey. So
Okay.
I think what I realized was that the dieting and the desire to be smaller, the goal to look a certain way, it wasn't it was leading to kind of yo-yoing, like being extreme, losing weight, gaining it back, feeling shame, feeling like I failed. It was creating poor mental health. It was ruining my relationship with food. Food was kind of like the enemy to me. Um, so then to come to a place of food is fuel, food is keeping you going. It's necessary for your running, for your workouts, for longevity, for life. Losing weight in a way that was not extreme. I lost my weight so slowly. It was like 1 to 2 pounds a week, not even some weeks, none, over the course of like a year to a year and a half. So it was just like teeny little slow steps, never extreme. I wasn't even hungry. The goal wasn't to be small. The goal wasn't to look a certain way. It was to restore health and it was to fuel movement. And I think when I started to just feel so much better and appreciate my body for what it could do, versus how it looked, I just realized how much more powerful that is as a motivator,
Yeah.
and just truly making a lifestyle change
Mm.
versus anything like aesthetic as the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a battle, isn't it?
Oh, it's a battle. It's a battle.
Yeah.
It is a battle, and even to maintain weight loss is, a lot of people are like, I can lose the weight, I can't maintain the weight once I've lost it. And I try to say that's why for me, I just completely changed my lifestyle to where I wasn't really in like a weight loss mindset. I was in a, hey, I'm moving towards goals, I'm moving towards experiences I want in life. And those are what I'm moving towards. And my body and weight is going to just kind of adjust to whatever I'm training for and moving towards. And it's not the end goal or end purpose in
Hmm.
and of itself,
Yeah.
interestingly.
That's good. When you look back on your 35-year-old self, describe what you just said in terms of what was your compelling why? What was your motivating factor? It wasn't necessarily
It
losing
wasn't.
100 pounds,
No,
but
it
what
was.
kept you going?
It was that I had had the blood clots in my third pregnancy, so I had lost my ability to walk and move then. I mean, I had to get, it was weird. I like wasn't supposed to move, but I had to get up and move because I had blood clots. I had like pumps on my legs and things. I mean, it was just a terrible health crisis. And then right after that, I broke my leg. I just felt like I was getting this message of like, you need to use your body. You have this gift. And I just had this realization like, I haven't taken care of my health. I don't move my body intentionally. I really did like zero exercise or anything like that. And so it just kept getting taken away from me. And I think I finally had this wake up call of like, use it or lose it. Like, I don't want
Mm.
to have any more health crisis that, the broken leg, I guess maybe was random, but
Hmm.
it was just a message of like, you need to connect and use and take care of your body. This is a gift that you are not um, managing well, basically. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are some things that you have had to unlearn to become the runner that you are now?
Gosh, when I first started running, I had a lot of, they talk about like growth mindset versus fixed mindset. I had a very fixed mindset with running because I grew up with my parents being runners, and they were both marathon runners, and they were both like fast or, trying to get faster, trying to qualify for Boston Marathon. My dad did Boston Marathon. So I had this idea that if you were a runner, you have to be fast, you have to be competitive, you have to be good at it. And that's why I never wanted to do it. I think I had this idea like running isn't for me. I'm not good at it. I'm not fast. And it was sort of a just giving myself permission of you can do this just because you want to, just because you like it.
Hmm.
You don't have to be good at this.
Okay.
You can do this just for joy. You can run as slow as you want. I used to always say that to myself before I went for a run. You can run as slow as you want. That's okay. Just go out the door and run. And so it was kind of just this I can be really hard on myself. And I look back and I'm like, wow, I was actually really gentle with myself in getting out the door to become a runner. It's amazing how far that can take you, though, because next thing you know, you want to run faster. You want to run further. Not because you have to, not because you're trying to prove anything to anybody, just because you enjoy it and you want to see what you can do out there and it's fun. But I came into it with a very just, this is for you. Whatever it looks like is fine. Whatever you have to give today is enough. And that actually was probably the first time I'd ever had that sort of gentleness with myself towards something. Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah.
man, gentleness with yourself. I was describing to Nancy last night, actually. I said, honey, I said, I'm a basket case. Um, you know, I'm in process. I've been in process for 68 years. She goes, what do you mean you're a basket case? I mean, and I know she's thinking of like 10 different areas. Um, and we had just worked out in the gym that morning, yesterday morning. I'm the oldest guy by far. In the class. I'm 68, and I'm not finishing anywhere near the top, and I'm not finishing last. But I care too much about that, and I forget to put things in perspective that there's people in their 20s doing the same workout that I am with the same weights and same box height and all that. And I'm sure that even in the ultra marathon space, there are people that are wired more type A, competitive. But I would say, I'm not sure there's a question here. You can respond to it. But for people that are wired like me, the journey for us is to learn to enjoy the journey, the process, not be hard on ourselves when we don't finish at a certain time. 'Cause
Yep.
that just steals the joy out of it so
And
often.
I relate to you. I was that way in academia. I was like, I have to be
Okay.
the best. I have to score. I have perfect score, perfect this. I want to go to this school. So I relate to you, but not in running. Running, like I said, running was actually kind of my departure from that mindset. But I can relate to that because I myself have been that way in other domains of my life.
Yeah.
Um, and I do know runners like that. I'm always like, just show up, just do your best. And they're like, how can you say that? I'm like, because you can actually be free from all of, those external and internal expectations if you choose to. And I know it's very hard,
Hmm.
but it has been amazing to see how expansive it has become to approach it that way. Just this teeny little hobby. I remember my first goal was to run a mile, just to run a whole mile. That took me a while. That took me a while. So to go from that to like finishing these really long epic races, it's like, wow, maybe being gentle with yourself, it's not going to necessarily hold you back. That might unlock uh, some experience that you couldn't get to with being hard on yourself, actually, you
Yeah,
know?
that's good.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like leaderboards are joy stealers. I
agree.
mean, right? I mean, because comparison breeds discontent,
Agreed.
and we're
Yeah,
so I don't know how we. I mean, it's our lives. It's the world we live in, right?
yeah.
There's leaderboards everywhere. So just
I can
maybe.
tell you, like during Moab, I put my phone away. We need our phones for navigation, so I do have my phone, but I never look, and no one ever tells me like my placement or my time. I just go with complete zero awareness of that because I know it's gonna steal from the experience if I'm thinking about like what place I am or time. It's like that's meaningless. That compared to the depth of experience that I have in those 4 or 5 days, putting, like, a time on it is limiting it and just robbing it of what it really is.
Yeah,
Um, to put a placement on it, it's like, "Oh my gosh, those 3 girls ahead of me, we spent the whole night together talking and sharing stories." It's not like we're 8th, ninth, 10th, 11th, it's like these are new friends that I've made that are lifelong connections now, so to rank us that way, it feels, like it's just making the experience smaller than what it was. Yeah.
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 Just take us from the broken leg, the blood clots, being 100 pounds overweight, starting to walk, run your first
I'm like, "Oh my
mile,
gosh, that sounds like a rough start."
run your first mile, and then I think I read that you did 100 miler in your neighborhood.
I did, so I started kinda down the path of, like, my parents. I ran a marathon. I came home to Colorado to run a marathon, which is really funny because coming from sea level to Colorado is a rough first marathon because
I
I
bet.
came to elevation, but I kind of followed on that path. But I very quickly, as I got into the running world, found out about ultra running. I immediately felt more tied into the culture of ultra running, which is more um, just come as you are. And time and all of that just didn't seem to be as much of an emphasis as road running. And the ultra runners I met, it just had this more adventurous, like, hey, let's go to the mountains, do these crazy distances, very funny, lighthearted feeling to it. So I pretty quickly was like, I think this is the direction I want to take my running. So I connected with some local ultra runners, which is usually what happens. Like someone pulls you in that has been in the
Okay.
world and kind of
And
teaches
by the
you.
way, folks, this is what's happening right now. Jess is pulling you in, just so you
Yeah.
know. Okay.
I love to pull people in. That is my favorite thing, to be the person who's like, "Hey, have you tried this? Do you want to try this?" But yeah, so I had a neighbor, he was an ultra runner. He'd been an ultra runner for like 20 years, very experienced, and he was kind of supporting me. It's like almost like someone needs to tell you you can do it before you believe it at first with these distances, because they just sound so crazy. And so we had done, I did like a 30-mile race, and I think I had done like a 50-mile. And anyway, I was like, I really want to experience 100 miles because everybody talks about it as this epic distance. And he's like, well, we could just do it around the neighborhood. I'll do it with you. And I was like, really? And sure enough, we did do that. And that, it was really empowering. Just like, it wasn't even a race. It was just self-committed. I still look back on that and I'm very impressed, or just I still can't believe I did that. I don't know that I could do that right now. Just go out and around my own neighborhood run 100 miles. And I was
Wow.
just so excited about it that we actually
Did you
did it.
map it out, or did you?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
mapped it out. It was really fun because we made our own map, and it included like running down to like a Mexican restaurant that was on the trail and stuff. So, we made our own little like aid stations and stuff,
Nice.
coming by my own house, many times to get water and things like that. So, and actually stuck to it, actually did it, no accountability to anyone else, no race, no medal, there's nothing. And I think that again, it was just really empowering of like, wow, like my body did 100 miles. Me being someone who had, then my weight loss was pretty recent.
That's
And
remarkable.
like you said, I've struggled with my body image. I've struggled with body acceptance, to look down at my legs. This still happens during races. I'll look at my legs, I'll look at my feet, like these legs that I've been so hard on, these feet are carrying me
Ugh,
mile 100, mile 200. And it's just so much awe and gratitude for your body instead of um, just, sometimes I felt maybe disappointed or shame or all these toxic emotions towards my body. But in these long distances, you just feel gratitude, awe, amazement at the human body. And I think that's just a healthier place to be with it. Yeah.
and you've done 100 miles once and 240 miles 8 times?
This will be my this year's seventh 240 mile, which is Moab 240. I've also done Bigfoot 200, Tahoe 200,
Okay.
and I did the Arizona 300. So,
Okay. Wow. You did your first Moab 240 in 2020.
and
What keeps pulling you back to that specific race 7 times?
it was so life changing. We weren't even training for that. There's actually supposed to be a 200-mile race in Washington that year. So after we did the 100-mile run around the neighborhood, you start looking at like, well, if I can do that just around my neighborhood, what else can I do? And I see these 200-mile races. And there was one that was supposed to be in Washington. So we started training for that, and then it got canceled. 2020, everything was getting canceled. And so we got moved on the wait list to other races from the same organizer, which is Destination Trail, who I now work for. But anyway, we just got moved from the wait list onto Moab, and we thought it was going to be canceled, like right up till it happened. And we didn't even actually specifically train much for it. It was kind of like, whoa, we got in off the wait list about 2 to 3 weeks out, and we're like, hey, let's just go give it a try.
Whoa.
And
That's
so, and we
amazing.
did. And
That's
I look back on that, like, I can't believe I finished that the first year.
that's
Just given
crazy.
how little experience I had. And I think that was my first experience of just being pushed so far beyond your window of tolerance, so far beyond your own capability, that you truly are just out in like the spiritual realm out there. And it was so neat to experience that as soon as I finished, I was like, I want to do that again. I want to experience that again.
Really?
Yeah.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yep.
goodness. I think about big accomplishments like that involve a little bit of pain. That it takes a few months, like giving birth. Like it's like right after you give birth, you're not saying like I can't wait to have another baby. It usually
Yeah.
takes 6 months or so.
I
But
know. Yeah. The
you
first time, I mean, there's been times since then where I've been like, man, I don't know. And it did take a while for me to be like, yeah, I want to do it again. But that first time, it was just so incredible. It just shook me. at a soul level. And I was like, wow, I have to experience that again, or I want to. I don't know if I can do it again, but I want to try again. Yeah.
Yeah. Unpack that further. What is it about that first race and the ongoing races that just keep you coming back to the Moab 240? What is it that you're experiencing and feeling out in the wilderness, really?
Yeah, it seems like you're tapping into something ancient, embedded in us that maybe we are more meant for that than we think we are. Um, People historically did travel by foot more. The biology that we've traveled around on foot, and that's been part of cultures in the past, like going out for a few days in nature to just fully immerse. And it feels like you're tapping into something there that's very powerful. Just heading out wild, remote places, moving by your own feet day and night constantly. You connect in with nature to such a deep level. Like, I remember the first time coming inside after, you're like, whoa, this is weird. I've gotten used to just being outside for days and actually started to like it. Um, I think it just feels, it's an amazing feeling to connect into nature that way. And then also parts of yourself. As you tire, as you wear down, you kind of become just like a raw nerve or soul level with yourself. A lot of clarity, a lot of crying, a lot of memories, a lot of
Mm.
just processing. And then also the people you meet out there. Every single time I've done it, I've made an extremely deep connection with at least one person, usually multiple people,
Mm.
that just feels like I needed to meet this person. I needed to hear their story. I needed to share my story with them. And I just come back completely rejuvenated on the soul level, although physically tired, yes, very full in mental clarity and just rejuvenated purpose after. Yeah.
That's amazing. I've been this last year trying to practice the gift of solitude and silence, and it's hard. For me, it's simply a small discipline of not listening to anything. Driving to the gym. I mean, it's only 15 minutes. I can't imagine 36, 48 hours or longer, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say most people are 85 to 110 hours. So you're out
Wow,
4 to 5 days and all night.
my
So it's
goodness.
a lot. And like you said, at first it is uncomfortable. You're like, oh, should I listen to music or should I? You have to completely settle into just it's just me and my mind. And a lot of times the race is so spread out that you may not even be able to like see anyone else. Like one time I went almost a whole day without even seeing like another runner. I just was kind of in like a gap in the race. Um, and most of us don't get that kind of solitude or quietness or uh, removal from all of the whole external world, keeping us very busy all the time.
When you're
So
out by yourself, no music, no podcasts, maybe no people for a season,
yeah.
is it always great, or is it a trial in some ways? It's like, man,
Yeah.
like it's been too long in my own thoughts. I really need to have a conversation.
It's not always great. It can be destructive, like you
Mm.
said. So I think people do, I've used pacers a lot of times, like sections I know that, oh man, I might really struggle alone on that. Or for me, it'd be the nights, like the dead of night, I get scared. Like I
Mm.
said, I'm a terrified, anxious person. And sometimes you'll have an awareness of like, whoa, I'm in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
alone in the middle of the night and there is real danger and I'm extremely sleep deprived. I haven't slept in 3 nights. I'm hallucinating maybe. So I do try to plan to have pacers for those moments because to me that's maybe pushing me a little too far to where I could truly like have a mental breakdown or something. um, so I kind of plan sections to do alone that I know that I want to do alone and I feel comfortable doing them alone. But then maybe mountain sections where there might be weather in the middle of the night, I would usually either team up with another runner or have a pacer there just to make sure that I do have somebody to share that with. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious. You talked about clarity, that it being out there, it brings you clarity. Do you bring like a journal to jot something down at all, or do you just try to just let the thoughts come and go?
Yeah, I don't jot any. That's actually a good idea. I should. I don't even know if I could. It's
Right.
interesting. Like you kind of descend into more feeling than even thinking. And I think that's good for me. I'm so cerebral. I'm overthinking all the time. I overthink everything in my life. I question. I want proof. And it's like you get out there and slowly the thoughts they're quiet and you're just feeling things and experiencing things like you said embodied. And for me that's just such a better place to be. I don't even know if I could put the things into words in the moment. I always do a little recap after where I write, and I'm always glad I did to kind of document some of it.
Hmm.
But a lot of it is like, I don't know that I could even have the words anymore at that point. Yeah.
You talk about healing, that there's healing out on the trail. Uh, have there been some areas of your life where you found healing that you didn't even know you needed healing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the first year, the like we talked about, the body acceptance and just it completely changed how I felt about my own body. In that I just could never uh, feel the hate, the shame, the disappointment that I had aimed at my own body. I can't believe I ever felt that way about such a gift that I've been given. Like I said, legs that can carry me 240 miles, a back and arms that can carry the pack. It just completely switched. I'm like, wow, we just have these amazing machines that we can use to experience life. And I think that at the end of my weight loss and everything, it was just an amazing way to celebrate. Like, wow, look at this experience that's been opened up to me because of this journey that I've taken and how good I've taken care of fueling and training and all that. It's not just that those are ends in of themselves. It's like, look what this opened up to me in the world that I can do and I can experience now. And yeah, I do feel like every year I just bring something out there that is broken in me and it just is smoothed over a bit after 240 miles. It's always something different. Um, Maybe it's grief. One year I had lost my grandma and I went out there and just cried and just felt her. Yeah, it's just you bring things out there and you meet people that are carrying things like that, and it's an amazing way to process things, which you maybe wouldn't think, but it is actually very powerful for that.
Gosh, it's you're motivating me to want to do
I
more
was
of
gonna
that.
say you should sign
Yeah,
up.
it would be really. I mean, on my 50th birthday, I wanted to run a 50-mile race. I just didn't. Because I feel like it's one thing wanting to do something like that. It's another actually taking the next step. Because you don't just show up at the trailhead, right? You've got to train for it,
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it may not be as much training as people think, I would say.
really.
I mean, it's a lot of training, but I
Yeah.
think people imagine it to be maybe more impossible. Like I just feel like if I can fit it in, as a mom, three kids, I work two jobs part time, so my schedule is a little flexible, but I do work. Um, and just the people I see out there, there's doctors, there's all sorts of people that have very busy work schedules or huge commitments, and they're making it out there. So I do believe it's possible for more people than you might imagine, the
Yeah.
training. Mhm.
What really compels me, Jess, is I know it even at my stage of life, and I think we start understanding that we're all carrying some baggage, when we get into our 30s and 40s. And oftentimes the twin towers of that baggage are both grief and shame, where we all have those, and we're not even aware of what it is. We can't name it. And when we're stuck in the busyness of life, the beauty of the busyness of life, and we don't slow down, um, we never have the space to deal with those.
Yes.
And that's compelling to me.
I think it was my third, that some of them bleed together a little bit. My third lap, there's this section that's 26 miles flat road. Most of it's mountains or terrain, but there is this section that's like this flat dirt road. A lot of people don't like it because it's just you and this road. It looks like it goes on forever. It's a dirt road. And I one year met a man out there. We ran up to him and he was emotional. We could see, and we're like, are you okay? You know, everybody's checking on each other. Everybody you pass, you talk to for a bit. And we could see he was overcome with emotion. And he just said, I'm carrying my friend's ashes
Oh my
with me.
goodness. Hmm.
And we were like, oh my gosh. And he just shared about his friend. And this is a person I've never met. And we came up on him and it was like had been best friends our whole life. I just can't tell you how much we were affected by his story. It was like we had lost his friend too. You know, we were just like, oh my gosh, grief.
Wow.
It's heavy. Like you said, we're all carrying things. He literally was carrying
Yeah.
something. And he's like, I'm trying to decide I want to spread his ashes out here and I just can't let him go. I mean, the conversations we had were just so deep. And we ended up seeing him at the end and we said, what did you decide to do with your friend? And he said, I carried him all the way to the end. He couldn't let him go.
Oh,
And
gosh.
then after the race, he said, I went back after the race, and where it transitions from pavement when you leave Moab and you first get on the red dirt, he's like, I put him there after. He came with me the whole way. I couldn't let him go. And every time I hit that point on the course now, I just know that he's there. And I just think about how we are all carrying things, sometimes literally carrying it, but even if it's not that explicit, it feels like that for all of us, that there's something. Yeah.
That's heavy and beautiful.
Yeah.
Your 2025 race of the 240 Moab, you described it as the most unhinged race ever. What was uniquely brutal for you about that race?
It was a monsoon in Moab, it was like historic. It had never rained that much on record. This is a desert race, you know, very
Yeah.
dry. We've had snow in the mountains before, so it's not that it's actually usually very cold and there has been snow, but it rained, and not just rained, but like downpoured most of those 4 days. And not only was it just being out in the pouring rain all night, there was a huge storm in the mountains. Trees were falling. It was like it was like a hurricane. They say the remnants of a hurricane was like hitting Moab during this race. But it also turned almost the whole course, or a significant part of it, into mud. So we were trudging through like sometimes like knee, ankle deep water crossings, mud.
Wow.
So the morale, it was a tough one to just hang in there. Yeah.
How did you hang in there?
Gosh, you know, in some ways I felt like it was harder for me. Like the people who are doing it for the first time, they've never experienced it any other way. So they were just kind of like, okay, I guess this is how it is. Whereas for me, I'm like, no, this isn't how it usually is. And I've experienced all these places in such different way where it was easier to move through, easier to find joy, easier to connect. And that this one, it did truly feel like there was a lot of just trudging. And I had never had that before. So it was a huge mental test. I also had a lot of struggle. I got an infection in my toe, probably from the river crossings and the dirty water. So I had like an active infection that had to later be treated with antibiotics. Just being wet, just being rained on all night, it just added an extra layer. I would say it was just more actual suffering than it usually is. It's usually not like that.
Sounds brutal.
Mm-hmm.
What did that particular race expose in you?
I think in some ways the finish meant the most because I didn't know that I was going to make it to the finish. You know, there were times where I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it in the state that I'm in and the things that I'm managing. I don't know if I can do another night in the storm and the rain. You know, so there was just so much self-doubt that making it just felt like even more of a miracle than it even usually does. But I think also the interesting thing was that for the first time, I like truly had like kind of a mental and emotional breakdown on the course, which I'm usually the one who's positive, like, we can do it, guys, like, trying to find the positive. And I had a moment where I just was sobbing, like, sad, broken. So it's interesting to reach that point with yourself and just fully break down. And then we're literally out on trail. There's nothing else I could do. I had to get up and just keep going. And I did. So it is interesting to see, okay, even there, you can keep going.
Was there somebody there for you that you can actually see their face and hear
I
their
had,
voice?
well, I did actively have a pacer with me there. So
Okay.
that was, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think it was just with the weather, with going slower, I cut naps. So I hadn't slept
Okay.
and I was just like extreme everything, like extreme sleep deprivation, extreme weather exposure. Um, and I am glad I had a pacer in that moment because but in some ways it is also liberating to break down like that and just be like, wow, I'm a mess. I don't got this. I can't do it.
Hmm.
And just break. And I did do that this year. So somehow those still picked up those pieces.
Yeah. Would a
Yeah.
pacer be a good place for somebody to start?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How
Yes.
would
That's
they
how
do
I
that?
started. Yeah. So either pacing or volunteering. And
Okay.
I do both. So I volunteer at the 200s for Destination Trail. The ones I'm not running, I volunteer at. So
Okay.
I'm there, I'm an aid station captain, I'm taking care of runners, and you learn so much just by watching other people do it and looking at how the experience really is unfolding and what it's like and how to support people and what problems they're having or what they need. I've learned so much as an aid station captain. And then as a pacer, you're out with people on sections. And so
Okay.
you're going to get to do parts of it with them. You're going to see the course. You're going to get to feel how some of the mileage feels before maybe doing like 100, maybe pace 50 or pace 20, 30, something like that. I think that that's huge for just learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mhm.
Do you have your sights set on any other races? Any other ultras around the country
So
or the world?
Right now with my kids, the phase they are, it's like even getting to do Moab every year is a big commitment for me. It is hard to be away. These races take a long time. Um, when I volunteer, I bring my daughter with me. So the volunteering and all that's kind of like a family affair. I can do it with my kids. So I don't race a ton, compared to a lot of ultra runners, but maybe in a different season of life. There's so many interesting distances, courses, places I would love to experience, but right now I kind of have just Moab. Last year I did Arizona, the 300 and Moab, and that felt like a push even to do two races. So,
So you're
yeah.
not going to mess around with piddly 100-mile races. Like
Well, I
it's
wouldn't say that because, every race, even a 5K, it's like if you're running fast enough, it's going to be hard in a different way.
okay.
You can reach your edge
True.
in any distance, I feel like. So, I just know for me, I just love the adventure side of a multi-day and um, I'm not interested in racing. I'm not like, oh, I want to go see how fast I can do this or compete.
Gotcha.
So I think that's maybe why some of the shorter distances don't call to me. It's like if I'm going to go out in the wilderness, I want to have like a life impacting adventure. And
Gotcha.
the 200s or 300, you will have a life impacting adventure for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you familiar with the Badwater 150? Is
Yep.
that what it's called?
Yep, yep, yep.
150?
I don't know if it's 135 or I know they've
Okay.
changed the course, but yeah, a ton of my friends have done that race. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they all have their own elements of
Yep.
craziness, but that's a
Ah, but,
crazy.
yeah, there's ones that are you pull a sled, it's like in frozen conditions.
Oh
And if you
gosh.
even take off your glove, someone I know, like her finger part of it got frozen off. So there's pretty much any extreme you want to test yourself or throw yourself out.
Hmm.
There's a race for that out there for sure.
Well, you're inspiring in so many ways, and you're an encouragement. I know to so many people. The you. It seems to me that if somebody doesn't have a compelling why, and it doesn't have to do with living life before and after the race, or before and after the workout, or before and after the meal planning, we're we're not going to find joy in it. We're not going to keep it up. So it's really appreciate you talking through your why. I want to ask you one last question regarding that. How has your ultra running and your workouts in between the ultras allowed you to show up as the best version of yourself in your marriage, in your parenting, in your friendships?
Yeah. Man, it's like that could be like a whole like book, it almost feels like. But I always say to my kids, it's kind of like giving them a permission slip of if you ever feel a calling that doesn't make any sense to anyone else. When I first said, I'm gonna run 240 miles, everyone thought I was crazy. Like I said, I barely had just started running. I'm not an athlete. I I I think everyone just thought, what is wrong? What is happening? But I just felt this calling towards it. I felt the pull. People who've experienced it, it comes from outside yourself and you can't put it into words. But by doing that, I think it's also showing them you can do this too. If there's something that you feel you're pulled to, you're called to, it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. And hopefully it's not hurting anybody else. But um, you don't have to explain the heart tug that is put in you. You just follow it. And it's also been an amazing way to connect with my kids and to bring them to the races. And I think I mentioned like my oldest son paced me on a section this year at Moab, and he got to experience. I would say one of the coolest things is just how much gratitude you start to feel for the natural world and how much of a gift it is that we have each day that a lot of times we just miss. So, for example, he paced me on a section. I think we started at 10 p.m. and then we finished in the early morning. So we went all night through the night.
Wow.
And when you've been out all night, you just start searching for that sun to rise. Like you're like, wait, it's hard to keep your eyes open. Once the sun comes up, it's going to be a boost to you. And he and I were like, is that it? Is that it? You're like, is that day breaking? And then when that sun comes up over the horizon, we experienced it together. And it's like just sitting there celebrating that the sun is rising here again. We're here to witness it. We made it through a night together. That is the experience that I love out there. So to have that with him, just looking at the stars, seeing sunrise, celebrating these teeny little natural moments that pass us by each day, I think he really saw what it's about. And hopefully, I don't know that he'll ever want to do it himself, but hopefully some of that gratitude and experience influences him. And I
Love it.
hope eventually all my kids can join me for parts just to
Yeah.
share those and make memories together out there.
What a gift. What a
Yeah.
gift. So, what would you like to say in closing to the listeners? And know that the listeners are, they're your stage of life, give or take, either side. They're unashamedly ambitious. They're busy raising their families, maybe creating a business or a practice or some concept. What would you say to those people who are maybe not moving right now?
Yeah. I thought about, back to when I got started, where there was a shift. I used to, and I still will say this to myself, but I used to a lot of times say, like, keep the promise, which what did that mean to me? It was that I looked around and I realized I was keeping my word and keeping my promise to like everybody else. If I say I'm going to do something, I will be there. I'm on all these boards. I'm at the school. I'm trying to take care of my husband, my kids, my friends, my parents. But when I would make promises to myself, I would give up on them very easily.
Mm,
Me saying, this week I want to feed myself nutritious food. I want to go out and run a couple times. Those would be the first things I'd let go.
mm,
Because it's like, oh, I got to do this for them. So when I actually started maintaining habits, and again, it wasn't for aesthetics, it wasn't to get smaller, it was to be embodied and take care of the gift that I have been given of my human body. It was okay if I said I want to go running 3 times this week. I'm going to keep that promise to myself, and I'm going to take it as serious as the promises that I make to everybody else and the way I take care of everybody else. I need to take my commitments that I know are best for my health and for my mental health and for me to be a good mom, for me to be a whole person so I can pour into others in a healthy way. And that was a huge shift for me. And I think I also had to learn that sometimes keeping that promise would be, okay, I wanted to go running today. I can't. Okay, I'm going to go out and just walk that time then. I'm going to go out and just do 15 minutes. Or I'm going to go to the workout class. I'm going to use lighter weights today, but I'm just going to keep that habit going. Even if it's what giving your best looks like might not always be having 100% to give each day, but you just keep doing the habits anyway. Maybe sometimes at a very reduced effort level, but the fact that you showed up, kept the habit, kept that promise to yourself that you know is best for your physical and mental health, that to me was huge. It was
Oh,
huge.
gosh, that is so good. Yeah. Know your why. Make promises, keep your promises to yourself. And you're going to find greater joy, greater clarity, greater health, and it's going to benefit those around you, actually, by keeping
Oh
those
yeah, yeah.
promises to
I
yourself.
have more to give. If
Yeah.
I was like a burnt out shell, I didn't have anything really to pour into people. I was trying to, but if you're not refilling and just embodied and experiencing and living life and thriving, if you're just barely surviving, and that's kind of where I had gotten, what can you give really to others, right?
Very good.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Love
and
it.
I just love to be an encourager. If I can encourage anybody, I am here to cheer. I love to cheer people on as they chase whatever big thing it is that they feel called to.
Thank you. I know you've encouraged me and you've encouraged the listeners. Give a shout out to the company that you work for, and then how can people follow you, and how can they follow you, Jess, and then how can they learn more about ultra running?
Yeah, so I work for Destination Trail. We're one of the first race organizers to put on, I think we may have been the first in America to put on 200-mile races. So we have a long history. We've been doing it a long time. We have a great team. It's very safety focused, very supportive environment. So if you're wanting or interested in these long distances, reach out. We have people from all different backgrounds. There's no requirements for our races. It's not like you have to prove you've done this, and this to sign up. So we just, yeah, we would invite you to volunteer, come pace, come volunteer, come be part of our trail family. It's the most amazing, supportive group of people you could ever hope to meet. So even if this distance doesn't sound like something you want to run, maybe you want to come volunteer, just see what's going on out in the desert or mountains, wherever we're at. And then as far as me personally, I have an Instagram. Oh gosh, I think it's like Random Happy Things is my little screen name on there. I started as like a photo account, way back. But I'm available. I talk with people all the time who just have questions about these distances or about weight loss or about endurance events. I love to talk and encourage people who are new. I still feel new myself, even though it may not sound like it. And I very much remember what it felt like to be at the starting phases with all of this. So
Excellent, excellent. So if you're being compelled right now to take the next step towards maybe just walking or moving or even ultra marathoning, reach out to Jess. Reach out to Destination Travel, Destination Trails.
Trail. Mm-hmm.
Yep, Destination Trail.
Yeah.
And Jess, thanks so much for being my guest. This was so much fun.
Absolutely.
And,
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And for those of you that have tuned in today, remember that living this life is about direction, not perfection. When we get caught up in perfection, we don't take that next step that leads us to health and fulfillment and ultimate joy. So it's not about perfection, it's about direction. Jess, thanks again.
Yeah,
And we'll talk to you soon.
sounds good.
Thanks for listening to Delay the Decay. If today's conversation resonated with you, follow, subscribe, and share it with someone else on the journey. Until next time, keep prioritizing what matters most. And remember, it's about direction, not perfection.